Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Oak. Oak is brought to you by Game Brewer. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run 60 to 90 minutes. In the center of a vast but hidden forest stands a mighty sacred oak, a majestic tree that was already a sapling when the world was young. It's been said that from its wood the ancients crafted the first animals and humans. Druidic orders from far and wide gather around the roots to bathe in the oak's glory and grow their discipline and show their devotion. In the presence of so much mystical energy, the veil between the world and the otherworld becomes thinned, and all manner of mythical creatures begin to appear in the forest. For a druid who knows how to befriend them, these beings can be powerful allies. Ultimately, only one order will be chosen by the oak spirit to learn its deepest secrets. Your order starts out small and insignificant, but if you choose your actions wisely and use your druids efficiently, you will see it grow in power and stature. You will gain the friendship and help of otherworldly creatures like the mischievous brownie, the terrible merrow, and the magical pixies. You will learn powerful spells of the wild and uncover mighty artifacts. You might even risk upsetting the natural balance by creating new, sacred places in the forest to house your growing flock of druids. Oak is a worker placement game where you may take special actions, but most of the game you will use your moot cards that correspond to one of the 3 temples on the main board, the feather, mistletoe, or rune temples. Or you may take an oak action. So you will place a druid, pay resources, and take an action. The player with the most total victory points at the end will be the leader of the Druidic order, chosen by the sacred oak. They receive the wisdom of the ancients and win the game. Will you be able to prove to the archoak that your order is worthy? We will be able to unlock the secrets of ancients. Join me as we take a closer look at Oak. Each player receives a player board to track your various resources and cards and so forth, but each of these boards are going to have a bit of a unique worker spot, 1 or 2 perhaps, depending on which board you're playing with, and it does give you some nice replayability. So your workers in this game are obviously the druids. Some are passive though, they live at the base of the great oak. Their goal is to use that root action from your moot card to move up along the branches, gather resources and victory points. I mean, you do need victory points to win the game, obviously, and ultimately get to the top to lock down one of those spots. When you do, those are special victory points. Like if you have a ton of creature cards, you might go for that spot because for every one in your inventory, you're going to get victory points. Now your active workers are the ones you're going to be using to take advantage of all the different temple locations and all the actions on your moot cards. You start with 3 on your player board. They're put in their resting positions. Now at the top of your player board is where some cards are going to go. You got mentor cards and you've got shrine cards. Both of these are going to give you victory points, but the shrines are very important because they give you an additional resting spot to place workers. Very crucial. At the bottom of your board is where you'll put your creature cards. Some are going to give you ongoing benefits, and we'll take a look at a couple of those in a minute. But on the far right of your board is where you'll get artifacts, giving you an additional spot that you can activate, doing all kinds of things. And those are the basic things around your board, but in the middle of your board is where you'll be tracking all your main resources. Now you can only have a maximum of 9, but these are crucial. You can be spinning them left and right, all over the place. So these are a great way to keep track of these. You're not using chits, it's just a marker you move along your board. So at the start of the game, you have a limit of 1 card per row above and below your player board. There are card limiter tokens that you have to pay the cost and do the action to move those along the track. Now, you can, in a pinch, pay extra cost to move it when you need it the most, but that limiter will determine how many cards you can have in play at any one time. Now, one of my favorite things in this game is the fact that the druids can all be upgraded to elder druids. And what they've done here is so nice. They've got these little plastic pieces that attach to the druid that you can easily identify what they are and what they're doing and what their benefits are. So those little pieces, though, snap into place so well done. Now, you've got several different types here. You've got the archdruid, which will reduce cost when you go to the different action spots by 2. You've got the bard, which the bard is fantastic because it gives you another board that you attach to the left of your player board, giving you more card slots. The ovet reduces the cost of producing a potion by 1, really handy. Now, you also have the Talon Master. Typically, when you move to a worker spot that already has a worker there, you're gonna have to pay an additional cost by moving another active worker from your player board to a passive spot below the tree. However, if you have the Talon Master, you don't have to pay that cost. And then you have the Recluse. The Recluse really is fantastic because it allows you to put a meeple or your worker on the spot on your board with the tent, giving you additional resting spot on your board. Your final elder is an ancient, and as long as you have the potion in play, Chosen of the Oak, he can be created. Now, he's kind of a wild. He's super powerful. He's imbued with all the powers of all the other elders, so you can use him in any way you see fit. Each round of the game is divided into 3 phases. First, we have Dawn. Dawn is all about just collecting income, and you can do this simultaneously. And then we move to the Day phase. Day phase is all about spending your actions, using your moot cards, placing workers, getting resources, getting victory points, all those things you'd expect. And once you're done, you start to pass. You can go collect resources from the forest that can be used later to produce potions and things like that. So it is an interesting balance about what you choose and when you choose to do it. You can't do everything in this game. And then you're going to move to Dusk. Dusk is all about cleanup, really. You're going to be moving workers back to your player board, getting ready for the next round. You're going to be moving the solar marker, which we'll take a look at in a minute, and moving the round tracker. Also, if you happen to have any workers at the top of the tree, you can now lay them flat, locking that spot down. No one else can go there. So it's really handy for sure. But again, that last phase is really just a cleanup, kind of getting ready for the next round. So that gives you the basics, but let me give you a closer look at these moot cards and the different temples. Now, the moot cards in general, you start with 3 basic ones, but you do have others that you can tap into through the course of the game that are more advanced. But we're just gonna look at the basics here. First, the Feather Temple. Again, you're gonna pay the cost, place a worker, and you've got 3 spots around each temple. It correspond to the areas on your card, showing what the cost is and what the action is. So for the first one, your first available option is to move the marker to allow for more cards on your player board. Second option is to get creature. And these creatures are going to do all kinds of things. Some have interesting trade-offs, like this one, that you'd reduce the amount of victory points that you have to start when you grab the card, but you save it, and you can even use it at in-game scoring to get 6 additional points. So it is a strategic use for sure. But the monsters and creatures in general are going to do all kinds of really cool things. And then you also can get an artifact. Artifacts are great because you get an initial boost in victory points. You place it in one of the 2 spots on your player board, getting the 4 victory points, and then you're going to be able to use this spot. And as you do, you're going to get reduction victory points. But there's going to be all kinds of benefits, like this one is going to give you 6 mistletoe every time you use it. You will reduce victory points as you use it down until you finally use it at its last. And then you'll remove it, you'll flip it over, showing that it's done, and you have a spot available for more artifacts later. But artifacts are very, very powerful, and you want to use them wisely for sure. So those are the main things of the Feather Temple. Now, the Mistletoe Temple might be my favorite because on the third option here, you can upgrade a worker to an Elder Druid. And I love all the Elder Druid options, really cool. But the first one here is to go to the bag where you have all the resources you'll see out on the board. But those resources are what you need to make your potions. You can just look through the bag and pick whatever one you want. Secondly, you can get a shrine. Remember, shrines are super important. You get victory points for one, but also it gives you another resting spot to put an active worker into. Again, super crucial for doing all the things you need to do in this game. Then for the Rune Temple, you have to pay the cost in runes this time, but the first option is allowing you to move 2 passive workers from the tree to your player board into resting positions if you have slots available. And then you have the option of brewing a potion. Hopefully you have the ingredients on hand to do so, because there are all kinds of benefits to those potions, really, really powerful. And then thirdly, you can upgrade your moot cards. Again, keeping that in your hand for use through the course of the game. It's not temporary, you have it permanently. Give you way more powerful abilities for each of the temples and so forth. So very much worth doing. And then there's some other spots, like on the board, there's a slot for every player can go get a Minhir card. Now this card is going to give you victory points and be placed at the top of your board. So lots of options on your turn, but again, you can't do all the things right? But again, those move cards at the bottom, you can use that root action to move up along the roots of the tree. Now, this is interesting because you have to follow the path that the card calls for, and you might have a branching path that you have to follow, again, trying to get to the top and perhaps get more victory points and lock down a position when dusk comes around. But as you move up the tree, you'll see there's some tokens here, and you'll remove them as you bypass them, moving the sun marker. The sun marker will move along, and you'll be a festival at some point. You hope to be behind. This is what's interesting, is that you're moving up in victory points. You hope to keep pace with the sun marker, so when it does reach those spots that are festivals, you can gather the resources that show along the branches of the tree that you're at. So again, very crucial to not just jump way ahead, maybe right away in the game. You want to take advantage of those things as this moves. Again, it's going to move through the course of moving up the branches, and it's going to move from every round. Again, you have 5 rounds, and at the 5th round, you're going to total all your points. Whoever has the most victory points is going to be the druid that has all the power from the great oak. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, this game has lots of intricacies, lots of actions and how they play into other actions, and you really can't do everything. You need to try to find a path that works best for you and what you're doing in this particular game. And again, you're after victory points, you hope to get the most. I love the trade-offs and the decision making, really well done. And the artifacts are super powerful, but they do come with a cost. You'll have to reduce victory points as you use them. Also, the game in general is just beautiful, and I can't gush enough about how cool all the add-ons to the meeples are for making them elders. I really like that aspect, and how you can just expand your player board and make it more powerful. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.